guys, welcome to today's video where I'm sharing with you everything I learned after a year of decluttering. Now, last year I announced, I believe it was in my New Year's resolution video, that I wanted to spend a year decluttering different sections of my house, and I was very systematic about it. I did it one time a week. I kept it short. I went by sections, and I learned a ton along the way. Now, before I jump in, let me just tell you, I'm not done. And there were weeks that I did miss. I think maybe a total of like 5 or 6, something like that. So let's go ahead and jump into my experience. Now, the first thing that I learned pretty quickly is that there is absolutely a learning curve. And I think also one of the big things that went along with it is once your space is decluttered, you get rid of all the stuff you don't want, then what do? You know what I mean? A lot of decluttering kind of walks hand in hand with organizing, and knowing how to organize a space that works for you, that's affordable, and that you can maintain definitely takes some time to kind of figure out. So kind of go into it knowing that you're going to get better at it, but also that it might take a lot of experimenting to get there. Number 2, and speaking of Marie Kondo, this woman knows her stuff. She's got a book, maybe more than one, I don't know. She's got a TV show. She's kind of famous for home organization and for the concept of things bringing you joy or not. But one thing I absolutely do know about and absolutely recommend is her method of folding if you have drawers. Hands down, the best method. And that's another thing to know, is whether you are putting something in a drawer, on a shelf, what have you, there are different methods to folding that work for that particular storage. I have drawers, and this revolutionized it. My children have drawers as well. You can hear one now. I have drawers, my children have drawers, and using that method not only keeps things nice and neat, but it prevents you from digging through, because beforehand I would just fold it kind of stacked and then just toss it in. This way you're kind of, instead of stacking vertically, you're stacking horizontally, so you can see each item. So absolutely look into different folding methods depending on the storage situation that you have. But the KonMari method for me, in terms of organizing my clothes, my husband's clothes, my children's clothes, can't be beat. It's neat, it's simple, it's really easy to do, and it keeps you from messing up your clothes when you're searching for something. And that's a big one. It helps you maintain the neatness of a drawer. So I hands down absolutely recommend it. Number 3, containers are your friend. One of the big things that goes along with decluttering, as I mentioned earlier, is organizing things afterward. And one of the great ways that you can do that is getting containers. I have purchased quite a few containers this year. I usually get them at the Dollar Tree or at Target. I don't get crazy expensive ones, but I do get ones that I think are aesthetically pleasing for me. Now, one thing to know is that storage will come in an array of sizes, array of material and looks, and most importantly, price. Some of the containers that are out there, particularly the acrylic ones for refrigerators and pantries, are insanely expensive. They are so crazy expensive. It kind of blew my mind how much they cost, really. And you know, hey, if you have that in your budget and you're willing to spend, you kind of like that look and you're really willing to invest in that, by all means go ahead. But just know that you don't necessarily have to spend that much money to have an organized space that doesn't look too shabby, you know what I mean? Now, along with that is another thing that I learned is to absolutely let go of the Instagram and Pinterest images that you see, especially when it comes to refrigerators and pantries. A lot of that you will notice that a lot of those things are multiples of the same thing. So it looks very symmetrical. If you have 20 of the same juice pouch, and 30 of the same size canned goods. It all looks neat and pretty. Most of us only have 2 or 3 of those things. I don't have a million bags of chips that I'm gonna put lined up just so. Some of us do, and hey, that's cool. But you will notice that there is kind of like, again, a symmetry that's pleasing to the eye when you see it in pictures, but isn't realistic in terms of actual living. And this is especially true of refrigerators. You will see everything neatly lined up. You'll see the veggies looking all prepped and beautiful and everything lined up neat and organized, but you will almost never see leftovers in there. You will almost never see awkward bottles, things like that. So kind of, you know, just kind of put those images aside. Unless you're Yolanda from The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, you remember her refrigerator? That was an insane fridge. Most of our fridges aren't going to look like that no matter how many acrylic containers we buy. So even if you spend that much money, you're probably not going to have the desired Pinterest-worthy effect. So just kind of let go of the concept of perfection, and you definitely want to lean more toward function. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can still have a little bit of form, but overall you're going to want it to work for you. The 5th thing I learned is that not every method is going to work for you, and you're going to try a couple of things that you think sound great on paper, and then once you do them, you realize that either it doesn't work, it's kind of more difficult or more expensive than you thought, or you just don't like it. For me, an example of that was I saw it on Pinterest where somebody organized their bed linens by folding everything nice and neat and then placing it into the pillowcase, one of the pillowcases that went along with that set, and putting it in the closet. It looked great. The girl folded it very beautiful, and it was nice and compact and neat and clean. I never got it to work. And it was kind of lumpier and a little bit mismanaged. It just didn't look as pretty as it did, probably because these sheets had never been used before, the ones that she was using. And I absolutely hated the result. And to be honest with you, it was really cumbersome to kind of shove all of your California king size sheets into this pillowcase and make it look nice. It was just way more trouble than it was worth. I didn't like it. I tried it once, didn't work for me, let it go, moved on. So definitely don't be afraid. Don't get stuck into an idea, well, I have to make this work because it just looks so good on my Instagram feed. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you, and that's okay. And I will say this, once you find a method that works for you, wow, you will be so pleased, and you will find that it's just much more easier to maintain over time that particular method. And it just saves you a lot more time and grief overall. So yeah, definitely don't be afraid to experiment with stuff. Number 6, I learned that some declutter jobs are going to be cyclical. There will always be spaces in our homes that naturally just attract clutter, no matter how many times we tackle them. And I think that once we accept that, we'll kind of breathe a little bit easier. So just expect that there are some spaces that you will declutter that will have to be decluttered again. The next thing I learned is that through this process, it's definitely made me more conscious of what I buy. I had talked about this a little bit in my New Year's resolutions video, where I genuinely take a hard look when I want to buy something for my home, which I don't crazy do very often. I know that I bought a lot of stuff for my bedroom last year and added some accessories and stuff. That's very rare for me. But when I do buy things, occasionally I would find that when I brought it home, it just didn't do what I thought it would do in my house. It looked so cute on the display shelf, and when I brought it home, it didn't look as cute. And probably because the item looked really cute next to a bunch of stuff that coordinated with it on the shelf at Target, but I don't have those things in my house. So it really made me conscious of what I bought. And like every time now when I'm looking at home goods and considering buying something, will it fit in with what I have existing in my house? Do I think it'll look on the shelf, and do I really, really like it? or is this just a cute display? So definitely take a look at your spending habits if you find yourself buying things that you end up hating a year later and wanting to get rid of. If you find yourself doing that and doing that often, then some people do, definitely maybe spend a little bit more time asking yourself how it's going to look in your home and whether you really want it there. Another thing to know is that it gets easier to let go of things the more you do it. If you do it consistently enough, it gets like so much easier. I'm like ruthless people now, you know what I mean, when it comes to getting rid of things. If I haven't seen it, thought about it in a year, and it has no sentimental value, no genuine usefulness, and that I don't genuinely like, out it goes. And I wasn't like that at the beginning, especially with clothes. Oh, maybe I'll wear it another day. And there are some things that I keep for sentimental value. Even like I have cocktail dresses. I don't go anywhere. Hey, we're in a pandemic and I have 2 kids at home. My husband and I don't really like go out the way we used to before we had children. So I don't really need them. And I've gotten rid of some of them, but the ones that I really, you know, kind of hold near and dear and remind me of special occasions, I have still. And I think that's okay, but for the most part, when I see something, it's very easy for me to make a quick judgment call, that stays, or that goes. So especially if you're someone who has trouble with that, that will get easier the more you do it. The 9th thing that I learned about decluttering is that there are so many positive benefits and not just clear space. It improved my mood. Every time I decluttered a space and I went and looked at it, a cabinet, and I opened it and looked and found it really easy to move around and know exactly where something was. My linen closet, putting away sheets every time, I rearranged it in an organized way that worked for me. I did that at the very beginning of my decluttering journey. It's still in good shape and it's still exactly the way I organized it. Things aren't mishmashed, moved around, or anything. The sheets go here, the towels go there, the blankets go there, you know what I mean? I found something that worked and I stuck to it. And every time I go in there and look at how neat it all looks, it makes me happy. It also shortened the amount of time that I have to spend cleaning because I automatically keep it just almost effortlessly. I'm not going to say that it's completely effortless, but the effort is so minimal and automatic that it makes my general cleaning and tidying up so much quicker. And that was a huge benefit for me and really, really nice. And then the last thing that I really learned is that I still have a ways to go, but I'm okay with that. And there are things that I'm slowly but surely even purchasing to kind of neaten up my space. I'd like to get a sock organizer. You see the ones with like the little individual cubbies to keep your socks. It's very Fraser Crane, but I love it. So that's definitely on my to-buy list. And I think that while I may never be done decluttering, because again, there are things that are cyclical, a lot of the big stuff's going to go by the wayside pretty much by the end of this year, if I had to take a guess. But yeah, I'm okay with that because I know that when it works, and even what progress that I have made so far has really, really improved the way I feel about my house and how easy it is to kind of maintain. So yeah, if you are at the beginning of your journey with decluttering your house, don't get discouraged. It's going to take some time, and that's okay. But you know, once you get a couple of projects in under your belt and it works and you're able to maintain it, you will kind of catch the bug and you will feel really, really good about what you've accomplished and a whole lot better about your space in general. So just kind of stick to it for a little while and you'll get there, I think. Anyhow, that about wraps it up for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more cleaning, decluttering, momming tips, and I will see you all in the next one. Until then, take care. Bye for now.